Before we dive into this incredible story, if you're enjoying these untold Hollywood secrets, please hit that like button and subscribe for more shocking celebrity revelations. Your support means the world to us. Now let's get into this amazing story. It was June 8th, 1968. And 8-year-old Jenny Martinez was sitting on a cardboard box on the corner of Vine Street and Hollywood Boulevard, singing softly to the few coins in her worn baseball cap. Sera, whatever will be, will be. Her small voice carried through the afternoon traffic, barely audible above the noise of cars and pedestrians. Jenny didn't know that just 3 blocks away, the woman who had made that song famous was sitting in her Cadillac at a red light, having just finished a meeting with her agent about her struggling marriage and career troubles. Doris Day was going through one of the darkest periods of her life. Her husband Martin Melcher's financial betrayals were becoming clear, her movie career was uncertain, and she felt more alone than she had ever felt. What happened when that red light turned green and Doris heard a familiar melody drifting through her car window would create one of the most beautiful moments in Hollywood history. And it would prove that sometimes when you think you have nothing left to give, that's exactly when someone needs you most. Now, let me back up here and tell you about Jenny Martinez, because understanding her story makes what happened next even more incredible. Jenny had been living on the streets of Hollywood with her mother, Rosa, for 6 months after they were evicted from their apartment. Rosa worked when she could find employment, cleaning offices at night, doing laundry for neighbors, but it was never enough to afford rent in Los Angeles. They slept in shelters when space was available, in their broken-down car when it wasn't, and sometimes just found safe doorways to spend the night. Misha, Rosa would tell Jenny, we have to be strong. We have to keep believing that tomorrow will be better. That's when Rosa taught Jenny the song that would change both their lives. Sera, Rosa would sing softly as they lay in the back seat of their car. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Sera. What does it mean, Mama? Jenny would ask. It means that no matter how hard things are right now, we don't know what beautiful things might happen tomorrow. So we keep hoping, we keep trying, and we trust that everything will work out the way it's supposed to. Rosa had heard the song in a Doris Day movie years earlier, and it had become their family anthem, a way to find hope when everything seemed hopeless. Jenny started singing it on street corners, not because Rosa asked her to, but because she wanted to help earn money for food. Maybe if people hear our hope song, Jenny told her mother, they'll want to share their hope with us. For weeks, Jenny had been sitting on that same corner every afternoon after Rosa finished looking for work, singing Sera, and collecting whatever coins kind strangers might drop in her cap. She had no idea that on this particular day, her hope song was about to reach the ears of the woman who had sung it to the world. Actually, let me tell you about what Doris was going through that day, because it makes her response to Jenny even more remarkable. Doris had just left a meeting with her agent, where she had learned that several movie studios were no longer interested in working with her. At 44, she was being told she was too old for romantic comedies but too young for character roles. Her wholesome image was being called outdated in an era of changing social values. Face it, Doris, her agent had said bluntly, America is moving on from sweethearts. They want gritty realism now, not sunshine and rainbows. Combined with the devastating discovery of Martin's financial betrayals, Doris felt like everything she had worked for was crumbling around her. As she sat at that red light on Vine Street, she was seriously considering whether it might be time to retire from performing altogether. That's when she heard it. Floating through the warm summer air, barely audible above the traffic noise, was the sound of a young voice, singing her signature song. At first, Doris thought she was imagining it, but as the light stayed red, she rolled down her window and listened more carefully. The future's not ours to see. Sera. The voice was small, pure, and filled with a hope that seemed impossible, given the singer's obvious circumstances. When the light turned green, instead of driving forward, Doris pulled her car to the curb and got out. She followed the sound of the singing to the corner where Jenny was sitting, and what she saw made her heart break and soar at the same time. This tiny little girl, clearly homeless, wearing clothes that were too big and shoes that had holes in them, was singing Doris's song with more genuine emotion than Doris had heard in any concert hall. Don't forget to comment below and let us know what other heartwarming celebrity moments you'd like to hear about. Doris stood about 10 feet away, just listening, as Jenny finished the song and looked hopefully at the few people walking by. A businessman dropped a quarter in her cap without making eye contact. A woman hurried past, pretending not to notice the child at all, but Jenny didn't seem discouraged. She took a deep breath and started the song again, her voice still filled with optimism and hope. That's when Doris made a decision that would change both their lives forever. She walked over to where Jenny was sitting and knelt down beside her cardboard box. "That's a beautiful song," Doris said gently. "Where did you learn?" Jenny looked up at this kind-faced woman in elegant clothes and smiled. "My mama taught it to me," she said. "It's a hope song." "A hope song?" Doris asked. "Yes," Jenny explained seriously. "When things are really hard, you sing it and remember that you don't know what good things might happen tomorrow." Doris felt tears welling up in her eyes. Here was this child, living on the streets, teaching her about hope using her own song. "Would you mind if I sang it with you?" Doris asked. Jenny's eyes lit up. "You know it too?" "I know it very well," Doris said with a smile. What happened next would stop traffic on one of Hollywood's busiest streets. Doris Day and 8-year-old Jenny Martinez began singing Sera, Sera, Sera together, their voices blending in perfect harmony right there on the sidewalk. Doris's rich, trained voice supported Jenny's pure, hopeful soprano as they sang about accepting an uncertain future with grace and optimism. People began to stop and stare. At first, they were drawn by the unusual sight of a well-dressed woman singing with a homeless child. But then someone in the growing crowd gasped, "Oh my God, that's Doris." Within minutes, a circle of 50 people had gathered around them, watching America's sweetheart sing her signature song with a little girl who had nothing but hope. When they finished the song, the crowd burst into applause, but Jenny was looking at Doris with wide, wondering. "Are you really Doris Day?" Jenny whispered. "I am," Doris whispered back. "You're the lady who sings the hope song on the radio." "I suppose I am," Doris said, crying now. Jenny threw her small arms around Doris's neck. "Thank you for teaching me the hope song. It helped me and Mama so much." The crowd was openly weeping now. Here was this innocent child, thanking Doris Day for giving her the very song that had sustained her through homelessness and hunger. But Doris knew that Jenny had given her something even more valuable. "Jenny," Doris said, "you just reminded me why I sing that song. You reminded me what hope really means." She turned to address the crowd that had gathered. "Ladies and gentlemen," Doris said, her voice carrying the authority of a woman who had entertained millions, "I want you to meet my new friend Jenny. She's been singing my song better than I ever have, because she truly understands what it means." The crowd applauded again, but Doris wasn't finished. "Jenny and her mother are going through a difficult time right now, and I think we can all help them remember that tomorrow can be better than today." Without being asked, people in the crowd began reaching into their wallets and purses, putting money into Jenny's baseball cap. But more than that, they began offering help. A restaurant owner offered Rosa a job. A family offered temporary housing. A clothing store owner offered to outfit both Jenny and her mother with new clothes. The impromptu concert on Vine Street had turned into an impromptu community support rally. But Doris had her own plans for Jenny and Rosa. Actually, let me tell you what Doris did next, because it shows the true measure of America's sweetheart. "Jenny," Doris said, "where is your mama right now?" "She's looking for work," Jenny replied. "She'll come back here when the sun starts going down. Would you like to come with me to find her? I'd like to meet the woman who taught you to sing with such hope." Jenny nodded eagerly, and Doris helped her pack up her few belongings. As they walked through Hollywood, Doris holding Jenny's small hand, people continued to recognize them and stopped to stare. But Doris didn't care about the attention. She was focused entirely on this remarkable little girl who had reminded her of something she had forgotten. They found Rosa 3 blocks away, coming out of yet another business that had told her they weren't hiring. When Rosa saw her daughter walking hand in hand with a beautifully dressed woman, she panicked. "Jenny," she called out, hurrying toward them. "Mija, what's happened?" "Mama," Jenny said excitedly, "this is the hope song lady. This is Doris Day." Rosa stopped in her tracks, looking back and forth between her daughter and one of the most famous women in America. "I don't understand," Rosa said in heavily accented English. Doris stepped forward with a warm smile. Mrs. Martinez, your daughter has been singing my song, and she sings it better than I do, because she understands what hope really means. I want to help your family, Doris continued. Not because I feel sorry for you, but because Jenny taught me something important today about what my music is really supposed to do. What Doris offered the Martinez family wasn't charity, it was opportunity. She arranged for Rosa to have a job at her own house, helping with cooking and cleaning. She found them a small apartment near her home in Beverly Hills. She made sure Jenny could attend a good school, but most importantly, she made them part of her extended family. For the next 20 years, until Doris moved to Carmel, Jenny and Rosa were regular presences in her life. Jenny grew up calling Doris Tia Doris, Aunt Doris, and would often perform with her at small charity events and private gatherings. Doris didn't save us, Rosa said years later. She gave us the chance to save ourselves. But more than that, she made us feel like we mattered, like we had value beyond just our circumstances. Jenny went on to graduate from high school and college, eventually becoming a teacher herself. She credited that day on Vine Street with teaching her that everyone has something valuable to offer, regardless of their situation. Doris Day taught me that hope isn't just something you sing about, Jenny said. It's something you live, and something you give to other people. The story of Doris Day and Jenny Martinez became one of the most beloved stories in Hollywood, though Doris never spoke about it publicly during her lifetime. But people who were there that day on Vine Street never forgot what they witnessed. I saw America's sweetheart become America's sweetheart, said one witness, not because of her fame or her talent, but because of her heart. The moment also marked a turning point in Doris's career and outlook on life. Instead of retiring from performing, she threw herself back into her work with renewed purpose. She began choosing projects not just for their commercial potential, but for their ability to bring hope and joy to people who needed it. Jenny reminded me that my job isn't just to entertain people, Doris said years later. It's to remind them that no matter how hard things get, tomorrow could be the day everything changes for the better. When Jenny got married in 1988, Doris was her matron of honor. At the wedding reception, they sang "Que Sera, Sera" together one more time, just as they had that first day on the street corner. This song brought us together 20 years ago, Doris told the wedding guests, and it taught me that sometimes the teacher is the student, and sometimes the person helping you is the one you think you're helping. Jenny didn't just sing my song that day, she gave it back its meaning. When Doris Day died in 2019, Jenny Martinez, now Jenny Rodriguez, a retired teacher and grandmother, spoke at her memorial service. Doris Day didn't just change my life, she said. She taught me that hope isn't passive. Hope is active. Hope is seeing someone who needs help and deciding to be the answer to their prayer. That day on Vine Street, I thought I was just singing for coins, but I was really singing for a miracle. And the miracle wasn't that Doris Day heard me. The miracle was that she listened. The homeless girl, singing Doris Day when America's sweetheart herself appeared, didn't just create a moment that left everyone in tears. It created a friendship that lasted a lifetime, a lesson about the true purpose of fame, and a reminder that sometimes the most important audience for your song is an audience of one. One person who needs to hear exactly what you have to offer. One moment when you can choose to stop and listen instead of driving past. One chance to remember that your gifts are meant to be shared, not hoarded. That day on Vine Street, Jenny Martinez reminded Doris Day why she had become famous in the first place. Not for the applause, or the money or the recognition, but for the opportunity to bring a little hope into someone's life when they need it most. And maybe, just maybe, to discover that the person you're helping is actually helping you remember who you really are. That's the real story of Que Sera, Sera. Not whatever will be, but whatever you make it, it can be. If you're willing to stop your car, if you're willing to listen to someone else's hope, if you're willing to remember that America's sweetheart isn't a title you are, it's a responsibility you live up to. One song at a time, one person at a time, one moment of grace at a time. That changes everything, for everyone, forever.